Okay, we are on, Miss Cyrena, we are on the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross, and I am so happy to have you with me today. So, um, before I get we get started, I want to ask you, um, and this question I ask of everybody that I interview. All right, so
Okay.
just answer. Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Okay. Absolutely. My name is Cyrena Martin. I am in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I am the founder and executive director of a local nonprofit, Mahogany Cares, and we provide services to and for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors, providers, and those in need.
Okay, okay. Um, it's called Mahogany Cares. Where do you get the name from?
Good question. Mahogany, that is my nickname. So that seemed kind of fit. This
Ah,
is kind
okay.
of, yeah. And then CARES is actually an acronym. CARES is the C is for community, A is for
Hmm.
awareness, R is the resources, E is education, and then the S is for support. So we kind of put those together, just that we care about the
Right.
community, we care what happens. And that's how the name
That's
began.
cool. That's cool. That's cool. Um, what inspired you to create Mahogany Cares?
Actually, Mahogany Cares was started in 2009. I was asked by an associate. I was worked for State Farm at the time, and one of the ladies, one of my clients, she was doing a project in the community around breast cancer awareness. So she just asked me to see if I could get 25 or 30 women together so we could just have a discussion. She didn't even really tell me what this discussion was going to be about. We found out it
Uh,
was
uh,
about women's health. And immediately I became an advocate. I am an advocate for women's health, mind, body, spirit, and the entire family. So it was a no-brainer. I was
yeah.
in that 38, 39-ish age range.
Mm,
And
yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
very significant time to be having that conversation, they say. So that's kind of how it started, just with women's wellness, women's health. And I learned a lot just about advocacy. I am not a survivor of breast cancer, but I'm still an advocate, will always be an advocate. Black women were dying at an alarming rate. And it was just due
Mm,
to the factors of not really talking about it, family secrets, so and so's
yeah.
past. We never asked any questions. We just were, we
Hmm.
were grieving, but it's
Hmm.
time to start having those conversations.
Mm, yeah. I do agree that, at some point it could be, mental health. It could be, cancer. I mean, it could be a number of things, but the thing that I want us to do is to start talking about it. We can't keep this stuff quiet because, you know, what's the purpose of keeping everything quiet and your body's going through all kinds of hell? You know, talk about it. Let's go to the doctor. Let's take care of this stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And
So
all of those
yeah,
things that you
so
mentioned, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of,
mm,
we don't even know a lot of why the reasons people, we don't talk about our health. And then breast cancer, people, it's a private part and it's very, very
yes,
invasive. It's intimate to talk about things that are
yes,
going on with your body, and especially,
yes,
as we say, private parts. So we get it.
yeah,
However, we need to make it okay to talk about those things. We need to be okay talking about breast cancer. We need to be okay. Today's Denim Day, talking about sexual assault, victim blaming. We need to be
hmm,
okay with these
hmm,
conversations. That should
yes,
be
we do.
the shame in not saying anything about it because we're not doing anything about
Yeah, yeah. And it's so funny that you use the word shame. I was a guest, excuse me, I was a guest on a podcast last night, and the lady asked me about why didn't I seek help for my mental health issues sooner? And I used the word shame. I said I was in a state of shame. I said I'm like, how can I tell my family, you know, yeah, something's wrong with me, even though I knew, I didn't want to admit to my family that I was broken, and I did suffer in silence. So once I realized that it was time for me to step out of that shell and seek help, you know what I'm saying? It changed my life. It turned my life all the way around. And that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm speaking on this particular issue too. So I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
That's
Um,
wonderful. And then
let,
just
let me just say this right
imagine,
quick before we continue. Yeah.
I was going to say, even imagine
Um,
us being adults and having shame. Can we imagine children? You know, their voices need to be heard. And if we set the, the standard and we say it's okay, hopefully they'll follow in our footsteps. And maybe they can get some help a little bit sooner.
indeed, indeed. Indeed. Before I ask this next question, I just want to let everybody know who's watching. If you guys have any questions you want to ask of Miss Martin during our interview, please chime in. If you guys have any thoughts, anything you want to share, uh, please ask the questions, and I will address it to Miss Martin as we go on. All right. So, um, okay. So let's proceed here. Um, what are the age ranges of the women that you help?
You know, we've mostly been working with 18 and up. We did do a summer program for youth around employment and healthy relationships. Right now, we have been focused on women, but we are definitely expanding that, and we will be working with youth ages, probably teens. We really want to start having these conversations much earlier. We have been going into schools. We have been talking with the educators and just the awareness and the prevention. And again, just having those conversations. A lot of times, as youth and as adults, you're not heard, you're not believed, you don't know where to go, you don't know who to talk to. We want to be that safe space for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
Men, women,
Yeah.
children, boys, and girls. It's all important.
Yes. It sure is. And speaking of that, I went through your website. Nice website, by the way.
Thank you so much.
and
Thank you.
and I took this statistic out off of your website, and I want to ask this question due to this stat. So I'll read it off to you.
Sure.
1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men have been victims of severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. With that question said, do you offer services to men too, or is it just women?
We definitely are here for men as well. We have had men. It's a very different. We are of mostly women, myself, and then those that work with Mahogany Cares. We do get those calls, and it is men, and it's in a different kind of situation. I have had the calls where a man says, I am being abused, domestic violence, and it may not be physical.
Mhm.
And they're telling me, they're like, I don't hit women. I'm, nonviolent. I'm very respectful in my relationship. However, I'm up against
Mm,
the wall. It's time for intervention. They don't know what to do. So we have to talk about that. We have to talk about what's best for that person and allowing them to really open up, speak their truth as they want,
mm,
ask them what they need
mhm,
from us, and hopefully we can come up with some solutions together. It's never appropriate to tell somebody what to do in these situations. It can be very, very dangerous. Um, Mentally, you know,
so,
they gotta stay there. If you're not offering help, hey, are you gonna pay for them to move out? Their first month, last month's rent, get their utilities done, relocate maybe their
mhm,
job. What are they going to do with
Mm,
the children? It's not as just
right.
a matter of saying leave. So we want to offer some additional solutions, options, choices, and support, and however they need to go about their situation.
What kind of support could you give, or do you give in people in that scenario?
The first thing is to absolutely just listen. Maybe they don't want help. Maybe they just want to vent. Maybe they're just, um, having a bad day, or, things are going in a direction where they're just kind of curious about what's going to happen next. What we can offer, what we know. We know that most violence and abuse starts off not physical. It's every other form of
Mm,
violence: mental, verbal, financial, could be sexual. All of those usually lead and escalate into physical. So maybe they're in that stage of just really figuring out what's going on. Maybe they're in the stage of, okay, I didn't know I had choices. A lot of times people are married or in long-term relationships or in situations where it's not easy. They're very vested and they're in love.
mhm.
Love
Is it
is
love,
really
or
the
is that
base of,
something else?
well, they may love that person regardless if they're being harmed. They still love that person, or at least they did at one point,
Yeah,
or they would, you know what I mean?
right. Yeah.
Now, yeah, we got to question that. Like, is this love? But at some point, and they may still, we have to respect that. They do probably still love that
Hmm.
person. What they really want is for the
Hmm.
pain and for the fear and for the violence to stop.
Mm,
That doesn't
mm,
mean they want to leave. Every time you have an
hmm.
argument,
Hmm.
you don't want to leave. Yes, if it's physical, that definitely we're going to have to talk about that. And that may be something that we need to figure out in a safe way. And another stat on the page, it's much more dangerous when you do leave. Uh, the person, we can say abuser
Mm,
or whatever, is
mm,
out of control. So when now they've
hmm.
lost complete control of this person, they
Hmm.
are festering, they're planning, their mind could be doing some things that could
Mm,
lead to more violence. So we have to be careful
indeed.
with what we're saying and how we're going about this. And again, the person who is being abused, they may love this person and may not be ready for that conversation.
Mhm.
They may not be ready to leave. So we want to help keep them safe. So what if somebody does come to you and they said, I'm staying, but I want to be safe? we, we're going to have to work on some options, some safety planning, maybe having friends or family on speed dial, having different signals and signs for when things are escalating. And again, picking up and moving I can't pick up and move tomorrow, relocate,
Yeah.
new job, first last month, and security, all of those things.
Mhm. Ha- do you guys have you guys ever thought about, or do you guys do this? Talk with the person that is abusing as well as the abused. Do you guys talk with both the couple as a whole?
That's something that happens. Um, at some point you have to have to separate, but that is something
Sure,
that could
sure, sure.
happen. But with domestic violence, specifically what we're talking about, it's about power and control. So people may not be able or want to say certain things in front of that person. Again, that could cause more harm. I'm going home, they going home.
Right,
I'm not going to be there
right.
with them. So that's a very sticky situation. But yes, it does happen. And
Mhm.
normally I'm going to try to have at least conversation alone with that person. As
Right,
an
right.
advocate, when you are side by side with that person, it's a it could be a difference when that person comes into the room or when that person leaves the room. They may tell you a whole bunch of different things, but that doesn't mean that we're going to work with what they're telling us and what's going to keep them safe. And
Mm-hmm.
if they are
Mm-hmm.
choosing to go back home, we're putting together some type of safety plan. And hopefully, friends, family, and others are being as careful and listening and
Yeah.
figuring out what that person needs. If we have all the solutions and we're not listening to what that person wants, we could be causing more harm, a lot more
Mm,
harm.
mm,
We
mm.
say, leave, leave,
Yeah.
leave. Okay. Where are they going? We have
Where
to
they,
offer more. Yeah. We have to have a solution for leaving,
yeah,
a plan for
yeah,
leaving. There's got to be
sure.
more than just telling them what we think should be best for them.
Hmm. And like you said too, okay, so the person leaves and but the guy, or in some cases the woman, I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
they could
It's a,
probably, hunt you down at your job, stalking around your relative's house, waiting for you to show your face, and they can just, boom, there you go. Um,
absolutely.
I, as a man, uh, I find it hard to understand the mental frame of mind of men who do that. I really do. I mean, and I get it. People come from very dysfunctional family backgrounds, and most people will tend to regurgitate that what they know. You understand what I'm saying, Cyrena? They can only do what they know or what they were shown to do. So if you grew up in an abusive and very dysfunctional environment, that's all you know.
Yeah,
So the person that you meet can treat you like gold, but you're still, for lack of a better phrase, you still fucked up in the head.
exactly.
So all you're gonna do is fucked up shit because that's all you know. You don't know no better.
Exactly. And speaking with even us, well, it was a woman, but she was saying it was all she knew. It was
Mm,
exactly what she expected in a relationship. When she did tell somebody, they were like, yeah, that's how we do it. It's okay.
mm,
Hang in there, you know, it'll get better.
yeah.
Sometimes it's, either pray on it or just go sit down or we don't want to hear about it. But she was for a long time thinking something was wrong with her. And people kept telling her it's going to get better or, it was the norm. This was what happened to me. So this is nothing compared to what happened to me. So this
Yeah.
person's paying all your bills. This person's doing this, that, or the other. It's way better than the situation that I've seen. So it can be
Mm-hmm.
normalized from what you're saying on both sides for somebody that's doing it and for somebody who's had it done to them. So that's where
Yes.
it's
Yes.
it's not a quick process to just today you're leaving or today you're ending this relationship. People have been together 20, 30
Mm-hmm.
years. People have been just weak, but people love and do things in different ways. And if that's what they've known,
Indeed.
it's normal.
Indeed.
And the
Indeed.
language, it's not. No one's running around saying, "Oh, you're domestic violence." They're saying you're fighting. So that's a different language. If you're told you're fighting with your partner, say you're the one that's being abused, why are you two fighting? Well, it's not fighting. That's a language barrier that's kind of getting in the way. And our youth are learning that because you won't hear them say the words domestic violence. Our parents are fighting, or teens, I was fighting. And we don't know
Mm.
who started it, who ended it. It doesn't matter. Fighting is
Right.
very different than when we're talking
Yeah.
about intimate partner and domestic violence.
Mm-hmm. I totally understand. I'm gonna read off a comment here by Ryan Kendall. I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he's a good friend of mine. So
Okay.
his comment says this: as a frontline responder, I wanted to share the difficult questions we need to ask, but still keep them comfortable. It's like walking a tightrope. Uh, so I guess he's still talking about when he was out there on the streets, because he was a cop, and he had to ask some tough questions, but he had to
Mm-hmm.
ask it in a way that would kind of register to the person, you know what I mean, and not taken in any offensive way. So I get what he's saying, but I want to tell you this: years ago, Cyrena, I met a woman who told me that she was involved in an abusive relationship, and I'm like, okay, it's unfortunate, but I'm glad you got through it, right? So days in maybe a week or so into getting to know this young woman, she started to flip on me. She started to cause arguments with me, right? She, like I could be talking with her, and all of a sudden she'll just say something real disrespectful. And it's like, where did that come from? And she's like, oh, it wasn't nothing, it wasn't nothing. And it's like, the more I would engage in conversations with this woman, the more the violence would come out. And so the conversation started to become more just out of the blue, just aggressive. And it's like, you need to get some help for that, because you have some unresolved
Mm-hmm.
uh, feelings going on here, and I'm not going to be the person that gets caught up in that. So with that said, I respectfully, told her to stop calling me. But it had me think about that scenario, because do you
Mm-hmm.
think that women and even men, Cyrena, actually learn from their relationships and really do the work to get better? Because just getting out of a relationship doesn't mean you're getting better. There's
Mm-hmm.
work to be done on the outside and in the inside.
Absolutely.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You got to
And,
do work on both inside and out.
you
So give me
do,
your
you do,
take on that.
and both parties need to do some work. We're in a society, it's a lot of hurt, there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of grief. Yeah, I was saying to even my daughters, I'm like, you've been through some things I have never been through. That, they've lost girlfriends. I haven't, had that experience, the gun violence, all of this violence, and it's becoming normal in a sense, or people are numbing to it. It's not so,
Mm,
nobody's in a big uproar. Every time this should be a big uproar. It's always a concern, whether it starts out with the verbal, like you're saying, hurt people hurt people. People are, they're
hurt people,
one
yes.
relationship to the next. Um,
Mm,
and after going through a relationship, either party, there definitely needs to be some healing there. Um, Maybe that was accepted in their past relationship. And now, yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do in their next relationship. Or maybe it's testing the waters, like, oh, hey, let's
yeah,
see. Let's see.
yeah.
What's he going to do? You know,
Yeah,
or,
yeah,
or, or vice versa, because a lot of people will say, oh, I would never, on either end, right? I would never hit
mm-hmm,
another person that I'm in a relationship with, or I would never
mm-hmm.
be hit by someone in an intimate part of a relationship. That's the word never,
Indeed.
right?
Yeah,
The word
yeah,
never.
right.
And
Never.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you find yourself in that one of a million never that you thought.
Mm,
Or
mm,
it's a family member. What are you gonna do? Now, our first
What?
reaction is violence and more violence. If it's happening to your sister, your mother, your brother, your child, our first reaction
Hey,
is anger, right?
hey,
So
yeah,
that
yeah.
never turns into,
You got me on that one because let my sisters call me.
uh,
I'm looking
but
for them.
now
So
let's use
that's
that
just it.
scenario. She's in love. She goes back. You beat the bricks or whatever you want to say. We're non-violent. We're not recommending it. We're just using
Right, right,
scenario
right,
here.
right,
But
right.
the first instinct is anger, more violence.
Yeah.
Now, when she goes back home, what do you think is going to happen with her when you're not around?
Mm,
Or will she call you next time? That's what we're saying. When somebody tells us what's going on, we want to react.
yeah.
We want to fix it.
So shouldn't
We
so
want
shouldn't
to
they
tell
not
them
tell
what to
us?
do. Absolutely, they
So
should
shouldn't
tell us.
so
But
shouldn't
what
it?
are we going to do with that information? We want to react. We want to fix it. We want to beat everybody up. More violence. We want to, we want it to stop. But is it our decision? Or is it going to make it worse for that person without a plan? You could beat everybody up every day, but the one time you're not there, what's going to happen to that person? So that's where it's very, very, it's not an easy
Oh,
situation. It's complicated. And the
yeah.
person knows best
Good
how to
word to
keep
use.
themselves safe. We can't say it enough. They know. They've been living with this other person. They know what buttons can get pushed or not pushed, or how to keep themselves safe for when they are ready to leave. We want them to be alive when they leave. That's what we want. We want everybody to be alive
No,
when they leave.
no doubt.
And
No doubt. No
that's
doubt.
why
No
it
doubt.
is, it's a lot of listening. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of really,
Ah.
yeah, it's not a quick fix. It may have taken this
Mm,
person a lifetime to get involved in this relationship. Maybe they've had other relationships, but this didn't happen. And now they're like, don't even know really what's going on. You could ask a lot of people, they're like, they have no idea exactly what domestic violence really is.
uh, mm, mm, mm. If you guys have any questions for Cyrena, please ask at this time. All right.
Please.
Next question I want to ask you on your webpage, again, nice page. You share a video that talks about a program called Survivor Like Me.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Survivor Like Me is a collective for survivors to self identify and to have a voice. And it's really about hope. If somebody sees somebody that did survive and is doing well, whatever well is, healthy, maybe new job, career, married, kids, whatever that is now, and they survived it, that's giving hope to somebody that may be going through it right now, thinking, oh my gosh, it's just never going to get better. So
Mm,
this it's a campaign. We're going to be doing more with Survivor Like Me, um, more stories of success. It's not about what happened to you. Survivor Like Me is the testimony. What are you doing now? How did you get through it? What were the things that helped you get through it? Was it prayer? Was it, a lot of people think it's going to be mom, it's going to be big sis, big bro, but a lot of times it's not. It could be that stranger, somebody we don't even know, that says, you know what, this
mm.
happened to me and I made it, and you can too.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Um, I want to read off a stat here.
Mhm.
Uh, it the stat that I got here, it says nearly 8 million are raped, physically assaulted, and or stalked by a current or former intimate partner each year.
Mhm.
How do you conversate with those who have been in that scenario?
Yeah. What people may or may not realize is most sexual assault and sexual violence are by somebody you know. I mean, it's like the
Mm-hmm.
numbers are 80s, close to 90%. It's not that Law and Order jumping out the bushes, white van or whatever, that type of story. The stories are of someone, that person loved, trusted, worked with, grew up with, they knew that person. So that's why these
Yeah.
numbers are astronomical numbers.
Man.
Those
Man.
are
Yeah.
astronomical numbers. So if we go, there's two of us on here, one and two, like one and three. That is, and it just takes it to the next level when you're saying it's somebody that you knew. And when we say that, we know that with sexual assault and sexual violence, not very many are receiving any consequences. We hear the big stories where it gets, to the news, but those numbers that we just had, that you just shared, those are the real
Yeah.
numbers. So it's
Mm.
happening. People aren't getting help
Mm-hmm.
on either side because if you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting any consequence, maybe you don't know exactly how wrong it is. And I was gonna do a stat. It's just been April has been just busy, crazy, a lot going on. But it starts when we're young. And I'm not gonna ask you specifically, but just imagine 8 or 9, 10, 12-year-old girl, and we'll use girl just because of this scenario, but snapping of the bra.
Right.
Do you remember that? You don't have to say if you've ever did it or saw it done. We won't get into that. But that's not consent. We're saying don't touch
No.
anybody in your bikini area. But I'm saying just
Right.
that example, technically, by the what? But it wedgies. All you can't put your hands on people, and especially in those areas. And I'm only bringing that up because if we're not having these conversations with youth,
Yeah.
snapping a bra can turn into something later. Giving them somebody a wedgie or whatever, it's not consent. And you're laughing and we're thinking it's okay, but it's not okay.
Right.
We
No.
don't know
No.
how that's going to
Yeah.
affect that person. We don't know what they've been through before that
Right.
incident happened. So imagine being a
Yeah.
youth 10 dealing with who knows what, and then this happens at school where you're supposed to be safe with your friends. So that's how serious this really is. That's where those numbers are coming from, and not at the snapping of the bra, but I'm saying like at starting at a very young age
Sure.
and
Sure.
never saying
Sure.
anything. I met a woman that was 65 years old and telling her story for the first time, something that had happened to her before the age of 10. So you've been carrying guilt, shame, fear, anger,
Mm.
unforgiveness, you name it,
Mm.
for 60 years. That's a lot. Now,
It's a
who
long
wouldn't be
time.
angry? Who wouldn't be? How are you going to act? It's going to show up. It's going
Yes.
to show up physically. Could be
Mm-hmm.
high blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
diabetes, all of these strokes, breast cancer. It could, it's going to show up. We want to be that
Mm-hmm.
place where you can release some of that.
Yeah, that's deep stuff. That is deep stuff. And when you speak it out, it makes it more profound because I think you're speaking in a language that a lot of us really haven't tapped into. We just assume
Mm-hmm.
so much that we really don't know how
Mm-hmm.
deep the rabbit hole really goes in
Right.
terms of, you know, yeah, that and other, effed up things that
Exactly.
occurs
I
in our
mean,
societies. Yeah.
I'm a person who's a hugger now, and I could be heightened just because, but I'm very conscious and self aware. But I'll ask somebody, some people don't want to be touched, period. It could be out of love, it could be out of welcoming in to your space, but they don't want it. That's just the bottom line. You have to ask. permission
Mm, mm.
to everyone. And kids, we're saying, oh, go sit on so and so's lap or go give so and so a hug. We need to pay attention. Maybe they don't want to,
That
and
part.
maybe there's a reason. Kids, they got discernment, they got sixth sense, they got all of that. Before we
Yeah.
force
Yeah.
people to do anything that involves their body,
Yeah.
we need to ask and we need to figure that out,
That's true.
regardless of your
That is true.
age.
Mm, that is true. That's real talk. Uh, when you talk with the ladies in your nonprofit, is there a recurring answer as to why they got involved with the men that they're involved with?
Mm. Oh, absolutely not. No.
Good,
Um, like
good.
I think we were saying earlier, like some people have been married before, or this is, I don't know. It's not an answer to that. It's, you know, who you
Just
liking.
things.
It starts out as, we know this. It starts out as Romeo and Juliet, or whatever,
Yeah,
this love story. Nobody starts out with that. And then
yeah.
once you're in it kind of deep, is where there could be a similar in those stories, like, yup, it was flowers every day, or it was
Mm,
taking him lunch every day.
mm-hmm.
People, and it's again in the unhealing. People
And what?
you can attract brokenness, unhealedness.
Mm,
You can
mm,
attract, or
mm, mm.
how are you
Mm-hmm.
presenting yourself,
I'm with
are
you.
a
I'm
lot.
with you.
People
Yeah.
pay attention.
Yeah.
People watch. We're
That's a
maybe not
nugget
those
that you saying.
people
That's a nugget.
that, what I'm. Yeah,
That's
you
a
get that.
nugget.
Like, you can attract, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
vulnerability. Again, not taking that time in between. Just got through a breakup, either or. And they say we will go there, but sometimes men are a little quicker to get in the next relationship than women. We won't stereotype tonight or ever, but taking your time, working on you. We talk about that, dating yourself, find out what you like, show somebody what you like and don't like. But then again, some people can say that, like, oh yeah, they told me everything they like, so I did everything they liked, and then I changed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very
Mm-hmm.
complicated. It's very complicated.
Mm.
So no, there's not
But
really a set answer, but there are patterns or
sure,
nuggets,
sure.
as you say.
Yeah. And you said a nugget though. The word attract. You attract what you are. If you're broken, you attract brokenness.
Brokenness. Mm-hmm.
You attract what you are, not what you want.
Exactly.
You you feel
Exactly.
what I'm saying? And that's
I
a
do.
nugget too, y'all. That's a nugget too.
Take
You
it. Yes.
attract what you are, not
Yeah.
what you want. Y'all better listen to
Exactly.
what I'm saying. So
Exactly.
if
I
if
forgot
you
I'm.
have some things that y'all need to take care of, y'all better take care of that because y'all going to be attracting the same old filth and the same old mess until you
Mm-hmm.
take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember, I don't know, it was I watched TikToks. There was some of those are really good. And it was a guy, celebrity male, and he was saying how people write down this list of every single thing that they want, and, from someone else. And they're like, okay, now you do these things first, and then see if that's where you're headed. So if you're writing down,
mm,
you want this, you want that, and then you look around, you're like, wait a minute, are you wanting those things for yourself, not from someone else? So start there with the list.
yeah, yeah. Woo. Um, is there any other projects lined up for Mahogany Cares, Cyrena?
Actually, we are having our annual event. April is Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. We have decided to do an event on April 30th, the last day of the month. This is a heavy month for survivors and providers. We don't talk about sexual assault all through the year. We need to, and we'll get
Sure.
there. But right now, we talk about it in April. Everybody's talking about it
Mm,
right now. So we said April 30th, we're going to do a day of healing and release. We're going to share techniques, skills for coping, for triggers, and for trauma. And we're going to actually be doing a release. We have a licensed counselor, and we've been laughing about it, but I nicknamed her, we're going to release with Patrice. And that'll be on April 30th. But before we even do the release, we're going to learn some new techniques, skills, and things that can help us both. Like as a provider, it's heavy for me. We want, and I have to rejuvenate and be ready to to provide, services and support for those that do come. And but this
mm,
this particular day, we're going to be sharing those techniques. And it's a variety. It's not, yes, counseling is one way, but there's others. There's music, there's, you know, art, there's just being still, there's meditation, there's so many different ways, and we're going to be sharing some of those ways on April 30th at 5 o'clock. And it's for men and women, um, youth. We haven't said any, we haven't really said, we want who wants to be there to come and to be open to learning some new techniques. Sometimes just even during the day, maybe you're just overwhelmed. Some of these techniques can be used for that as well. Everybody has in a lifetime had a trauma. So yes, it is Sexual Awareness Month, but we're talking about trauma and being able to release
yeah.
that
Yeah.
and let some things go.
Yeah.
I know
Mm,
there's a lot going on right now. It's heavy. Hearing about it is heavy, whether it's your family or the next or your neighbor, it's heavy. So we need
mm-hmm.
to all this. We have a lot of anger. There's anger over our city, and we don't know exactly where it's coming from. Part of it's grief, part of it's violence. There's so much going on. We just came out of a pandemic. Everybody was scared. There's fear. There's all this going on. And are we addressing it? So we want to address it collectively. And then you can take some of those skills and techniques home and share those with others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I have another comment here by Miss Yolanda Weston. How you doing, Yolanda? She writes, a healed person writes down who they are, not what they want, but values who they are, knows their own worth, and all former things that have passed away are no longer attractive to the eye, mind, or heart, including brokenness. And that's from a survivor.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely
yeah.
beautiful.
Amen, Miss Weston. Amen.
Amen.
Um,
Yes.
I'm
But
sh
do we
I'm
have
sure that
times of healedness, and it can,
yeah,
you have good times, bad times. And we have to recognize that it's
yeah.
okay not to be okay, but you don't have to do it by yourself. You don't have to stay
Listen,
there. And that's kind of
listen.
where we're at with this. Like people are staying there. Depression's at an all-time high. Suicides, violence, all of
Hmm,
it's coming out,
hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
it's not coming out the way we had hoped. These aren't
Right.
these aren't healthy ways. So we have to talk about that. And if everybody's in their own world and not safe to talk to somebody, we've got to find that safe person. If it's not us,
Yeah,
that's okay. But we want you to find
yeah,
somebody. We have a
yeah.
helpline. It's confidential. Our event's confidential. We don't have it listed out the address. We're having people register because we want to continue that safe space. If people don't feel safe, they're not going to come and they're not going to share. And this isn't a day of
Mm-hmm.
just, pure testimony, but it is a day of receiving some skills and
Mm.
techniques. We have to learn them too. And the more skills and techniques we have, the more we can help and service. That's why we called on some of our community partners to join us and to share what they know.
That's awesome, because there's so many people out there that need help. They need that safe space to cry, to vent, to heal, and come to the realization that they're broken. And that part, Cyrena, is where the shame and the running away could come into play, because do we really want to admit to ourselves that we're broken?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
once, so and that's through wisdom and understanding, and really like getting to know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Once you come to that conclusion, and I'm speaking from experience, once you come to that conclusion, all that bullshit's off the table.
Exactly.
You're gonna hit the ground running, you're gonna get that help, and you're gonna do whatever you need to do that 180 and turn your life all the freaking way around.
That's right.
I'm telling you, because I lived with shame. I lived in denial for years, and it ate me the hell up. It ate my soul up, because I didn't have the strength to tell my family, yo, being in the Marines and seeing some things that I saw and going through some experiences, it messed my head up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the same Mark that I was when I left. I came back a different person.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know who that person was. So once I really took that time to understand that I'm different and I'm affected by some things, you know, I had to drop my pride, Cyrena. I had to drop that shit
Mm-hmm.
because it was killing me.
Yeah.
So I just say all that to say to people that's watching and hopefully will listen, drop the pride. It's okay to not be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Get help. There's nothing wrong with that. You you are the captain of your own ship. Nobody else is. Once you make the decision to get help, things will change. But you have to make that step. It all relies on you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else is going to
Mm-hmm.
help you but you in that regard. So get your asses
That's
up
right.
moving.
And that, yeah, and two things. One, yeah, and we want to, when somebody does say they're broken, let's acknowledge that. Oh, you okay? You
Amen.
can do it. You're strong.
Yeah, yeah.
We
I'm
can't
not.
do that. Let's not. Yeah, they're telling you, hey, I'm broken. I
I'm
need
not.
help. And we're like, oh, you're all right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
take a
Let's go
break.
out. Let's get a
No.
drink.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, let's go get a drink or
Or
something, man. Let's talk about it. Yeah,
or
you'll
offer
be all right.
solutions. That's what we want to do. We if we don't have the solution, or we're gonna do our best to help you find what it is that you need. You can't, somebody tells you they're
Yeah,
broken. We want to be able to say, you know what? Here's a couple of options. Choose one. If that doesn't work, let's try something else. Let's just keep trying one day at a time. And
yes.
I've been seeing so many, even like social media. I'm like, one moment at a time. We want to get from A
Yeah.
to Z
What?
quick. If you've been,
It's 7:52. Let me make it to 7:53. How about that?
yeah, yeah, that's a start. And let's celebrate it that you did it. We don't
You
celebrate
did?
enough. We got caught in a rut of just all we were doing was going to funerals and respectfully and willingly, but I was like, somebody please have a birthday party, a baby shower, something. it was it was too much. It just
Yeah.
and that was years. It's like this has been years of this now. So it sneaks up on you. You don't know it. So just as long as it may take you to get to that point, we're like, oh, something's different. It's going to take you a
Mm.
little time to for the next change too. Give yourself some
Amen.
grace. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah. 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 How can people contact you?
You can contact the website, mahoganycares.org. We do have a helpline, 855-29 cares or
Say that again.
292. That's 855
Uh-huh.
292 2737.
Mm.
And then,
Okay.
email Cyrena Martin at Mahogany Cares,
Yeah.
social media,
Okay.
feel free. I inbox or message as well.
Okay. Okay.
I'll come
All
on the
right.
30th. You can on our page, and I'll send you the invite and registration as well if you want to share it. April 30th. We're just gonna exhale. We're gonna literally just exhale for a minute. We don't do that
Yeah.
during the day. We run, 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 go, go, go. I've been guilty. Run, 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 go, go, go. It's time to exhale. Let some of that out so we can be refilled.
That. Well, Cyrena, I've had a wonderful time talking with you and getting to understand what Mahogany Cares is all about. Um, I hope that the people that have been listening and paying attention had a great time as well. Uh, Anything else you want to add or share before we end this call?
Um,
No?
I can't think of anything else. We are, you know, if you feel volunteers, we definitely could use some support in that area. Um, Feel free to, support, encouragement. We as well. We are here. We've been doing the work a long, long time, and we want to continue to do this work. And we know that there's others out here that would be great as well. Please get in contact with us.
Okay. Okay. Miss Cyrena Martin, uh, founder of Mahogany Cares. It's been real. It's been a pleasure to talk with you, and we'll see each other again. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we can have a part two to this thing.
Thank you so much for having me on here for Speak Your Truth. I really enjoyed it and looking forward to great things from you as well. Keep up the great work.
Amen. Thank you, and amen to that. Well, you have yourself a good evening, and those that have been listening, you guys also have a good evening, and stay tuned for next week's episode of the Speak Your Truth with Mark Ross podcast. Have a good night, everybody.